What's up, guys? Chatty CRC back with you, and we're talking long range again, long duration, whatever the hell you want to call it. Also, going to talk about that issue I was having with my TBS VTX-24 V2. Got that taken care of. What we're looking at here is the current frame that was in this testing, Martian 6-inch. HQ 6x45 props, T-Motor F60 Pros. This one's got, let's see here, the Singularity, True RC 2.4 antenna, of course, running Crossfire for control link, Immortal T antenna. Got the 2.4 in the antenna kind of raised up in the vertical pattern right there, so that way I can maximize my distance and coverage and everything. Not having any problems with that. So let's move on to the next picture here and take a look at what else is going on. Most of my 2.4 flights I'm able to get away with just using the normal Fat Shark 2.4 module and a Mad Mushroom VAS antenna on there, and that's good enough 99% of the time. When I want to go further and do some extended stuff, then I will break out my makeshift ground station that has a diversity immersion Duo 2.4 and a 2.4 patch, crosshair, and the Mad Mushroom on top, and it's all on a Manfrotto tripod with the tie wraps and all that, kind of made famous by Bapu FPV. This is left over from my Connex rig that I had set up. Just a quick look at my antennas running through everything. Obviously, this is version 1.1. It's not the prettiest thing, but it gets the job done. So, what else can you say? For this test, this is the alignment of the antenna that I'm using on the back of the Crossfire Micro TX. Now I am going to be switching to the tuned antenna and possibly getting some extensions to extend that out and put that on top of the ground station. After listening to Trappy on a lot of podcasts recently, he really makes a lot of sense when he talks about the small percentages that you give up running Crossfire on mini quads, as far as being close to the carbon and not being able to get the correct orientation. He's really against taping them in a T to the bottom of the multi-rotors. He said you really give up a lot with that. So hopefully with the tuned antenna, I can get a little bit of that back and then a mast. So this is what I've been running mostly, the 2.4 immersion video transmitter. And basically the reason why is because they're easily available and I got some at a really good price. But TBS does have 2.4 version 2 type of transmitters, and I installed one of those in the 6-inch Martian last weekend, but I was getting some horrible results with it, and I'm going to show those to you. This is after reinstalling it and adding a cap and also adding some soft mounts, a way better soft mounting system to the mini quad with the True Blood soft dampening kit. And that really made a huge difference as far as the amount of noise and everything else that was coming through the quad. And that allowed, as I was saying, that allowed me to clean the video up a lot, and that was pretty much my issue the whole time with the TBS Unify 2.4. This is the 500 milliwatt version. This is what I was getting last weekend when I put it in. I didn't have a cap on. I had the flight controller soft mounted, but it really wasn't efficient enough. I definitely needed more because the 6-inch blades just create this harmonic that just vibrates your mini quad like crazy if you've never switched over to 6-inch. So you can see the noise and the glitches and everything like that I was getting in the video. And I was pretty disappointed. I went on to some of the groups and asked some questions. Everybody said that all of their stuff was all good. I did file a support ticket just in case I got a dud, but I didn't think I had one. Figured I had some work that I needed to do. So I just been kind of messing around with it all week, a little bit here and there, and I strapped it on the build again. And this is a portion of the flight from earlier today. You can see no video glitching. It actually, as always, looks worse in the DVR. I also adjusted my camera settings a little bit to take out some of that saturation that was in there. So everything is looking good. The TBS 2.4 500 milliwatt is a bonus. It really is awesome. And as you can see from the flight video coming up, I was able to go just as far with it as I have been with my immersion 700 milliwatts. And this is just going to be the entire flight of the build, testing things out just to make sure that I'm happy with the video. I was playing around with my rates and with my tune a little bit, so things were a little different and a little squirrely compared to what I was used to. The thing about 6-inches is whenever you touch one number on your PIDs, everything just kind of goes crazy. So you really have to have some patience, and you really have to have a well-built quad from the start. Balanced props, which I'm still waiting on my Dubro balance rod to get here because I can't find it. But you can see things are relatively pretty smooth, except for when I hit like my cruising altitude, that low to mid cruising, like around 15-17 amps. You can see the vibrations there in those pine trees and everything. Everything moving in front of the GoPro within its really close sight there is pretty much dialed in. A lot of the stuff is at the edges, except for when you get close. Right there is where my Omni usually trips and everything switches over to the crosshair. So I just wanted to gain some altitude and just kind of fly and just test the distance on this thing, compare it to the Immersion 2.4 and to my Unify Pro 5.8s. I can go just as far flying like this, just using LaForge and my goggles and with 5.8, but those tree lines back there that you're seeing, if I want to fly around any of that stuff, or if I want to dip down and fly around any of these trees, 2.4 it's going to break up, but it's still flyable. With 5.8 it just will not penetrate through that kind of stuff. Obviously, maybe things will get better in the fall and the winter whenever all this corn goes away and all the leaves and everything come off of the tree. You can see the entire time RSSI was in the 90s, so I had no control link issues. It's a mile to that highway right there from my front porch, so I'm well capable to just keep on going if I wanted to. And I like flying like this. I love flying planes, but FPV planes and I, for some reason, just don't get along. I've had a lot of difficulty with them. You always need help like launching, and you've just got to be like 110% right on with your build, or they just don't fly right. Stabilizers don't act right. My old Bixler 3 flew perfect with everything that I had in it, and of course I owed a lot of that to the Eagle Tree Vector that was in there to control everything. Probably wonder why I'm flying a little skewed there, and that's because there's a pretty good 10 to 12 mile per hour steady wind today. Also, it was pretty gusty, so you can see kind of how things break up along the tree lines. I'm way back over there to the left of the screen, so that's, you know, pretty good amount of trees to shoot through and vegetation, and it's a little bit downhill. So I probably can play with my antenna direction a little bit if I want to and see if I could kind of penetrate that a little bit more. But my goals pretty much for this quad, for the rest, is just going to be get the props balanced, work on the tune a little bit more to try to clean up this video, so that way I can go out and try to find some cool spaces to fly, versus flying around the boring cornfields and everything. I wish I was in the Swiss Alps or the cool deserts out there in Cali like a lot of you guys are, where you can just run and gun 5.8 and not have any issues at all. But here in the undisclosed location of Ohio, we have all of these rolling hills, which around here is kind of flat, but you know what I'm saying. We still got trees and all this other things going on that just block signal and kind of make it have to go to 2.4. And with winter coming, I want to be able to fly. I flew a lot last winter, didn't get a whole lot of snow, but this will still make it perfect to be able to do this kind of stuff. I don't want to do just a bunch of boring Mavic flying or Phantom flying or anything like that. This is definitely way cooler, and the fact that I can do it from maybe even in my house makes me feel a lot better. I've flown my Mavic from my house. I've flown my Mavic from my bed, actually. But just being able to kind of plop right out here, throw it up, and boom, and gone, that's going to be awesome. So we'll see you guys on the next video.